Independence Hall, Philadelphia, one of the most recognizable buildings in the United States. To all Americans, it stands as an icon of liberty and freedom. More than 2 centuries ago, men with names like Franklin, Adams, and Jefferson gathered here to form a new government. Their first step was to declare their independence from British rule. In this assembly room, 56 brave men scratched their names across a piece of parchment, thus cutting their ties to England and creating a new union. The signing of the Declaration of Independence set into motion a series of events that would lead to the formation of the United States of America. And it all started right here in Pennsylvania. This is where Benjamin Franklin sat. Thomas Jefferson was there. And John Adams was at the Massachusetts table over there. The system of government our founders created is described in the U.S. Constitution, which was drafted here in 1787. The U.S. Constitution sets the framework of our government and protects each citizen with certain rights and privileges. Each state also has its own constitution. In fact, the original 13 colonies each had constitutions in place long before the U.S. Constitution was written. Pennsylvania's has been in use for over 300 years. Pennsylvania's Constitution today sets up our state government in 3 separate branches. The executive branch, which is headed by the governor. The legislative branch, which is known as the General Assembly and is made up of 2 groups of elected representatives, the Senate and the House. And the judicial branch, which is guided by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Our focus here is on the judicial branch, that is, our court system. Specifically, we'll look at the courts in Pennsylvania and explain how they work to protect your rights. Rights like equal protection under the law, which means everyone has the same protected rights. Due process, which means, among other things, that you have the right to a fair and public trial. Habeas corpus, which means you can't be kept in jail without being charged with a crime. And the right against self-incrimination, which means in a court of law, you don't have to say anything that might be used against you. Basically, what all this means is you have a guarantee of open and equal access to the courts. You have an opportunity to be heard and to have your case decided either by a jury of your peers or by a judge sworn to render decisions without fear or favor. That's what we're going to talk about today. If there is one single symbol of Pennsylvania's state government, it is the Capitol in Harrisburg and its rotunda where I'm standing. This is the formal seat of all 3 branches of government, including the judicial branch. To better understand Pennsylvania's court system, let's take a look at the Judicial Pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid are the courts that hear civil cases involving small amounts of money and some criminal matters. Typically, these include magisterial district courts, the municipal courts in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia Traffic Court. The next level on the pyramid is the trial level, which in Pennsylvania is called the Court of Common Pleas. These are the courts where many cases begin, where you may be called to serve as a juror, and which you often see portrayed on television. In Pennsylvania, this is where the DAs from Law and Order might prosecute you. Your divorce would be heard, or you might adopt a baby. Not satisfied with the ruling of a trial court, depending on the type of case, you likely can appeal to the next higher court level, to the Superior Court, or perhaps to the Commonwealth Court, when issues of government law are concerned. At the top of the pyramid is the Supreme Court, the highest court in Pennsylvania. The justices here, and they're called justices at this level, not judges, the justices are responsible for supervising and coordinating the administrative work of the entire court system, and they sit as our court of last resort, the place for final appeal of decisions by lower courts. Of course, every day our courts must hear and decide cases involving disputes and controversy about those who have been injured or those who have become victims. A person sues another person. Someone is charged with a crime, or legal problems arise involving families or children. Win or lose, the point remains the same. American courts strive to be accessible, and American judges and juries work hard to be fair. Now let's drill deeper and find out exactly how Pennsylvania's courts work.
The beauty of Pennsylvania's judicial system, as is true all across America, is that our courts are designed to be free of external influences. Judges strive to maintain this judicial independence not as a means of wielding power, but as a way to guarantee that the rights of all are protected. Our decisions are guided by legal precedent and are based entirely upon our application of the law, nothing else. We are trained to be fair, impartial legal arbiters. The reason we're set up that way is to provide you and every citizen with a voice. If you have a grievance or a need to defend yourself against a grievance, you can have your day in court and get it resolved. Our court system is accessible to all. Many cases begin here in the trial courts, called the Courts of Common Pleas. I'm Judge Dwayne D. Woodruff of the Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas. Every one of Pennsylvania's 67 counties is served by one or more trial judges, like me. Trial courts have general jurisdiction, meaning they handle all types of cases, including criminal cases ranging from nonviolent crimes like theft to the most serious offenses such as murder, and civil cases such as contract disputes and lawsuits involving businesses, personal injury, or settlement of estates. Sometimes these cases are heard by citizens sitting as a jury, and sometimes before the judge alone. Trial courts also handle family cases in which judges must address very personal issues like child custody and support, adoption, divorce, and the distribution of assets between spouses. Judges in trial courts also hear abuse cases and issue protection from abuse orders. Any person who loses a case in a trial court has the right of appeal to one of Pennsylvania's two intermediate appellate courts. Here to tell you about the appellate process are the president judges of the Superior and Commonwealth Courts.
Hello, I am Susan Pikus-Gantman, President Judge of Pennsylvania's Superior Court. The first level appeal is taken to one of Pennsylvania's two intermediate appellate courts, either the Superior Court or the Commonwealth Court. These courts determine if errors were made at the trial court level. These courts have statewide jurisdiction, meaning that the judges of these courts have the authority to hear cases from all over the state. Let's take a closer look at these courts. The Superior Court of Pennsylvania was originally established in 1895. The court has 15 commissioned judges and is the busiest intermediate appellate court in the country. The Superior Court handles approximately 8,000 cases each year. A panel of 3 judges is neutrally selected to ensure impartiality in the final decision. The panel reviews the file, including the parties' briefs, the reproduced records, and the trial court's opinion. The judicial chambers assigned to write the disposition also thoroughly reviews the certified record of original documents. The court is similarly responsible for state wiretaps, which the court authorizes and monitors under the appropriate standards to maintain the integrity of the procedures and evidence obtained. The court's decisions have a significant impact on Pennsylvania's economy and the quality of life of our citizens. The Superior Court is the appellate court for most citizens and the private sector. The Superior Court handles the appeals from most criminal cases, family law matters, including child custody, support, divorce, termination of parental rights and adoption, contract cases, product liability cases, other commercial disputes, including shareholder disputes, trade secrets, and restrictive employment covenants. The court also hears tort cases, medical malpractice cases, insurance fraud cases, and orphans court matters. The quality of review in each appeal is critical to the justice system and to the litigants in each case. For most Pennsylvanians, the Superior Court is the court of last resort.
I'm Dan Pellegrini, President Judge of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. The Commonwealth Court has 9 judges and was created by the Constitutional Convention of 1968. We hear appeals in sometimes original cases in which the state or local government is involved. Our cases cover a wide range of subject matter, including banking, insurance, utility, and environmental regulation, as well as taxation, land use, labor law, and election law. A person fighting a workers' compensation ruling or a zoning decision that affects a neighborhood would bring an appeal to our court. With our special focus on government cases, the Commonwealth Court is truly unique. There is no other court like it in the country. Like the Superior Court, we travel to Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia to hear appeals. Any party who is not satisfied with the results of an appeal in either the Superior Court or the Commonwealth Court may take further appeal to the highest court in the state, the Supreme Court. And now, here is the Chief Justice of Pennsylvania to tell you about that court.
I'm Chief Justice Tom Saylor. Our judicial system has a long history in Pennsylvania. Our Supreme Court was created by the Judiciary Act of 1722. So the court was serving the cause of justice well before the United States Supreme Court, and even before the establishment of our nation in 1776. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is at the top of the Judicial Pyramid. 7 justices serve on the court, and their constitutional duty is to make the final judgment in interpreting Pennsylvania law and the Pennsylvania Constitution. The Supreme Court receives more than 3,000 petitions for appeal each year from both civil and criminal cases. We review each petition. When we decline a petition, the ruling of the lower court stands. When the Supreme Court accepts an appeal, we most often seek to clarify a point of law that has statewide implications and importance. The Supreme Court has broad jurisdiction over all types of cases. Under our Constitution, the court can assume full jurisdiction over any issue of immediate public importance pending before any court in the Commonwealth. As with the judges on Pennsylvania's other courts, my colleagues and I decide cases based on 3 primary factors: our understanding of the Constitution, our reading of the law, and review of precedent from prior court decisions that help us maintain a consistency in the application of legal principles over time. Now let's look back down to the base of the pyramid, to the busiest level of our unified judicial system, what some call the People's Court, the Magisterial District Courts of Pennsylvania.
I am Kathy Hummel-Freed, a Magisterial District Judge in Montgomery County. If a citizen should have any reason to come before a judge, typically it would be in a Magisterial District Court like mine, or the municipal courts of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, or perhaps Philadelphia Traffic Court. Together, these courts handle a huge number of cases, more than 2 million a year. These cases involve civil disputes in which the amount in controversy does not usually exceed $12,000, landlord-tenant disputes, and lower-graded crimes, which are usually called summary offenses and include traffic violations. In addition to hearing cases, judges of these courts have other duties. They hold preliminary hearings in misdemeanor and felony cases. They regularly issue arrest warrants and search warrants, conduct preliminary arraignments, and set and accept bail. They may also grant emergency relief in cases involving our most vulnerable citizens under both the Protection from Abuse Act and the Older Adults Protective Services Act. As you can see, these courts are busy places, but if you want your voice heard, we will hear you.
The Pennsylvania Constitution made it possible for anyone, anywhere in the state to seek justice in a court of law. That's our right, yours and mine. And the Constitution set up the system in such a way that you don't have to travel far to begin the process. Magisterial district courts are located throughout the state. Trial courts are also easily accessible. They are located in every county courthouse. All 3 appellate courts travel throughout the year to your region of the state, either here in the Capitol building in Harrisburg or in courtrooms in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Modern times and technology have expanded that geographical accessibility in many ways. If you need a translator, one will be available. If you have a disability, it will be accommodated. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you in criminal cases, or needed assistance can be provided in civil matters. And anyone can get information anytime about cases, decisions, court location, and the processes through Pennsylvania's court website. As one of the 3 co-equal branches of state government, the role of Pennsylvania's court system is to preserve the rule of law and guarantee the rights and liberties of our citizens. In our legal system, unlike in many parts of the world, you have a voice. It's the American way, and it began here in Pennsylvania.